trust me, I do get it because I'm still there myself. I still have things to work out for myself, right? Um, I have moments where it feels so difficult, so tough, and I've
Yeah.
got to separate and take a little time for myself, right? I I did it live on Facebook the other day when I went to the park. I took my staff to consecrate it, and I did a little meditation.
Oh,
But I
nice.
needed that. I needed
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Uh, because my whole event that I did on Saturday is okay, but it was not as great as I was hoping. Like
I was just reading your comment about that. Yeah, because I was
I
going
did
back into LinkedIn. I really want to do that recommendation for you. So I was actually working on that before we got on the
I
call.
did
And I heard
so
that
much
you,
preparation for that event. So much
yeah, I
preparation.
know, I know.
And it started out okay, but then
Uh-huh.
my headset went off and was like it's auto shutdown in 1 minute, press power to prevent. I'm like, fuck. So you see me, I go like this to hit it, and I also muted myself.
Oh no, that's how you
And
muted yourself. Okay.
I had a full screen presentation going on.
I know. Yeah. So
So I
you
could
can't see the chat.
see them trying to get in touch with me to like tell me. And then the headset cut off completely. And so there must have been like a whole minute or two roughly, and it's there in the replay
Hmm.
where everybody else is talking about trying to get in touch with me, but I still don't even hear them at first.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
So the headset at some point completely cut out and it switched, and I heard them when it came back on with the TV with the sound on the monitor,
Yeah.
and it switched my mic to the microphone in my camera, which is why the quality of the set of me got so much worse. So it was just did not go how I wanted. That threw me off my kilter a little bit, my
Okay.
balance. So
Like in real
I
time?
got yeah, so I got a little we had to backtrack and go over the presentation
Yes, I
again.
saw that comment. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And that caused me to be a little more winded and blah. And then we got into healing. And that part was okay, but because of the poor mic quality, they also couldn't hear me as well.
Yeah.
And then by the end of it, I was just so worn out, and I was just like, ugh,
Well, you're frustrated, right? Yeah.
yeah, and tired
And
because
stressed because
my particular style of healing is not easy and self-sustaining as just Reiki. Like when you're
okay.
channeling Reiki, Reiki is also healing you,
Right.
and it's a very self sufficient sustaining because it's not your energy. You're
Oh,
channeling the energy. It's just
okay.
coming through you. So it also does healing for you.
Okay.
Runic healing doesn't work that way. Runic healing is a complete sacrifice of energy.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes. So when I do the runic chanting and activating the grids and all of that, that's a pure sacrifice of energy that I'm giving that energy completely away into the
I
healing.
didn't know that. Oh my God.
Yes. And then me in particular, as an energy alchemist, when I draw in the negative energy of the client, that's a physical. I take the energy in, it passes through my heart center, get purified, and then I give it out through back through the other hand. That's a physical interaction of the energy that one to one with clients is no big deal to me at all because
Yeah.
in this is where the story of my life is important
Yeah.
because all that trauma that I've been through, all the things that I've suffered
Hmm.
makes me more intimate with trauma and more able to cope with the trauma of another person passing through me. It doesn't phase me like it would somebody else.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
Oh, because
one,
you've had that practice going through your own trauma, you're able to
yes,
overcome that.
Right. So when it
Okay.
comes through me, it's nothing new. Like, yes, it's still negative energy. There's still an exertion and a draining, but it's not harmful to me like it could be to another healer who hasn't experienced traumas themselves on
Yeah.
those same. So it's no big deal 1 to 1. And 1 to 1, it's one person's energy, my energy, and I am doing Reiki also, so that minimizes the loss that I'm putting out there. But in
Mm-hmm.
the group setting,
Mm-hmm.
more people and me, and that's much more energies that I'm taking on.
Yeah. At the
So
same time.
it's more draining than a normal session. And
Right.
I was concerned it would be worse than it was.
Right.
So, but Spirit came to me a few nights before and said, "Hey, relax. It's not going to be as bad as you're fearing."
Okay.
And it wasn't. But it was still definitely noticeably worse than a one-on-one session because I had 6 people there
Yeah.
that I
Sorry, I couldn't
was.
tune in live, but I know what you mean.
Okay. A lot of people didn't end up. I had 19 people register in total. Only 6 showed up. So, but that I still think was good. I was still happy
That's
with that.
successful. Yeah, it is. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It was my very first group event
Yeah.
ever of any.
Yeah.
So I was happy with that show up
Yeah.
because that's still roughly 30%.
Yeah.
Uh, so I was happy with that part. But all the tech issues, and then I was drained and I was tired. So at the end, I just kind of wanted to get it over with. So definitely, it was not the success I wanted it to be, but I still find it very much a success. And it was also a bunch of good lessons to learn. So I have this semi-professional style mic for next time.
Mm-hmm. Okay, got it.
I'll be using this headset, but only to listen. So
Okay.
I'll be using the other mic, so there won't be a mic issue,
Yeah.
or headset cutting out issue that's gonna hurt the sound like it did. And I'm gonna restructure the whole flow of it because um, doing the giveaways and stuff at the end when I was drained and tired, I wasn't enthused and excited about it like I should be.
Right.
So I'm gonna put those actually in the middle.
And it was over Zoom or was it through Facebook Live?
It was it was
Okay.
Zoom.
Okay. Because
It
what you
was
could do next time too is you can have someone as a co-host or something. You can have some volunteers there that you trust.
yeah. I've
So
thought
that you're
about
not
that.
having to do everything because it does help. Because I know when I did that, something like that, it does help to
I
have.
have thought about it. We'll see. But the
Yeah.
next one's gonna be in April, and
Okay.
you were registered, so you do have the replay somewhere in your emails. The link to
Yes,
the
I
replay.
have to go back and look at it. I haven't checked it out yet, but yeah, I'm interested
But
in looking at it.
you'll see everything I was talking about. It starts off
Yeah.
pretty good, boom, um, and then towards the end, it's not absolutely horrible. And if you're listening, listen with headphones though, because I am like softer and muted because of the camera mic. So
Okay.
having the headphones will make it easier to hear what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it still won't be that great, but it is what it is. Lessons learned, and the next one will just be even better.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's like you can only it's only gonna get better. Like it was your first one. So I
Yep,
mean, the fact that it
yep.
went through, like you did it, like that's good enough. Like, you know what I mean? Like just have some grace
And
with yourself because
the people that showed up were nice about the tech issues, still enjoyed
yeah,
it, were excited for the prizes. They
yeah,
still had some good experiences. So
yeah,
overall, it was a success.
yeah.
But for that night and into the next day, I was still kind of like, and
Well,
feeling like
yeah,
it was,
that's understandable. You were
going,
drained emotionally, so you're
yes,
gonna think of it like it went way worse than it actually did, right? But
yes, but it really went really pretty all right still.
yeah,
And, and it just it's lessons to make the next one even better. So for you, you may have your moments where it's feeling pretty bad.
Yeah, I see the connection with what you're saying.
Before it gets too bad, take a
Mm-hmm.
moment to break away if you can, or as soon as you can, break
Mm-hmm.
away
Mm-hmm.
and take that moment to reflect and work through the emotion so that it doesn't overcome you in the moment.
And you're saying a really good way to do that is to meditate because it's
Is to meditate. If you don't have the time to meditate, do that cleansing exercise.
yes. I've been
That's
thinking
the
a lot. I haven't been doing the
that's the
cleansing
next
one, but
best
that one's really
that's the next
powerful.
best thing.
Yeah.
Yes. And it only takes a minute to do it.
Yes.
A literal minute. So you can step away into like, hey, I just need a moment, go to the bathroom,
Yeah.
splash cold water on your
Yes. I
face,
have been doing
and
that. That's been helping a
and
lot. Yeah.
and while you're at the sink, just put your hands like on the sink to steady yourself,
Yeah.
and then do that cleansing breath. Take 1 minute, literally 60 seconds, and do that cleansing breath and work out the emotion, and then go back, and you'll be so much better.
I'm gonna try that because I've been just kind of sitting in that emotion and not doing anything with it. So it's just there with me.
So
Yeah.
that's okay. That's okay for like the start of it. Sit
Yeah.
with it.
Yeah.
It's there,
Yeah.
but then cleanse it out because
Yeah.
especially when it's a lower vibration, we don't want it to sit and linger and stay
No.
because then we're exuding that lower vibration. We want to
Yeah,
exude
exactly.
higher vibrations.
Yeah.
So, but it's okay for a moment while you're like, okay, here you are, sadness or anger or whatever the emotion is. Here you
Yeah.
are. I see you. I
Mm-hmm.
accept you.
Mm-hmm.
This is why I'm experiencing you,
Right.
but I don't need you.
Oh, I love this. I love that.
And then do your cleansing breath. I don't need you. You're not actually helping. I'm going to let you go and cleanse it out.
Okay. Because some of that taking on other people's energy happens too, because I'm not like
And
always aware.
if you recognize that it's somebody else's energy,
Yeah.
your response is, I see you. You're not mine. You don't belong to me. I release you.
Okay. Because that happened last week. I had a friend come over and she was frustrated about something and going off. And I knew this is not my energy. I don't want to take this energy, but I still allowed it in
How much do you care about your friend?
a lot. I care about her a lot.
That's why you still took it on.
Okay.
That's why you still took it on even though you recognized it and didn't want it. You care about your friend and you wanted to help your friend, so you took it on.
So that's probably what
That
happened on the weekend with my
yeah.
mom. I care about her. So I took on
So
that, her devastation. And then
right.
later
So
on, I was like, but she dealt with this so much better than I thought she would. So that's a good thing. But I wasn't
yeah,
allowing that in as much.
right. But so that's an important thing to remember is we can still do it subconsciously about people we care about,
Yeah.
even if we're recognizing that it's not ours and we don't want it.
Yeah. I kept telling myself, like in the moment as she was like venting, that I was like, this is not yours. Don't take this on. It's okay. She's frustrated. She's upset. You're
Yeah.
being a good friend, but this is not yours to hold on to. Don't take this energy on. But it didn't
But
register.
when we care about them at a certain level, we're still going to take it on subconsciously because of how much we care about them.
Okay.
So it's
That makes
important to
sense.
know that. It's important to know that, and then say, and you probably did yourself fair where you didn't take it on as badly as you would have in the past, but
Yes.
you still
Yes.
took some on.
Yes.
So the important thing is recognizing and knowing I probably still took some of this on, so I need to take some time to clear it out also.
Yeah.
Of all the things I've taught you, the cleansing is the most important.
I know. I know. I see that now. Yeah.
The most important. It's going to help you clear things left and right, up and down, and all around.
Yeah, because that's been the theme this year has been like, let it go. If it's not serving you, let it go. And so, yes, I'm working
Make
through
it
that.
fun. Play the song from Frozen while you're doing it. Make it fun.
I
Let it
love that. That
go.
is adorable. I love that. Thank you so much. I needed that. Yeah. Oh, Michael, you're just incredible. I'm just making my notes for your recommendation, and I'm like, I don't even know where to start and where to end this. I'm just typing
Just
away. So,
start. Just
so I'm
start. Don't overthink it. Just
yeah,
start.
no, I'm not going to. I just had a question about so um is it called ancient ruins, or what, how do I refer to it, what you're doing?
So my process is Hagalaz healing.
Right.
H A G
Yeah, yeah,
A
it's
L
on
A.
your thing. It's on the thing. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That
Okay.
that's what it's called. That's what I call it.
Okay.
Hagalaz is one of the runes.
Okay.
So runic,
Yes.
Runic, runic healing is
Yes.
sort of the broad term
Okay.
for using runes to heal.
Okay. Oh,
But
okay, okay.
my specific process is called Hagalaz healing.
And is the ruins, is that a language? Because I'm saying it's a language and culture. Am I saying that right? Or am I just saying it's a
No.
language?
So that's a long, sort of convoluted answer. Historically speaking, modern historians believe the runes to be an alphabet.
Yes. So that's
In
why I was
ancient,
referring to it like a language.
yeah, so that's what they believe it to be. That's not what it actually is, what I've learned through spirit. They are more like a hieroglyph
Okay. Yes.
in
That
that
makes sense.
it's a representation of a literally it's a representation of the name of the energy being that the power is drawn from. Um,
Okay.
but it's not a language. It's so in a sense it's still kind of almost like a letter because they look like letters.
Yeah.
Um, and but they're really more like a hieroglyphic. This represents this being.
Okay.
And they happen to look like letters because the reality is they were started between 15,000 and 20,000 years ago in the Stone Age
Okay.
when we were still like very tribal and
Yeah,
no
like
like,
hunters and gatherers still at that point.
yes,
Okay.
goofy girl, stop.
Okay.
And it was in the Stone Age. So we didn't have metal tools. We had stone and wood tools, and we had some leather, but that's why they're sharp, angled, and simplified the way that they
Yeah.
are.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, that makes
We,
sense.
we
So
didn't
it's not
have
a language, it's more of, it's almost like a real, like it's a being of where the energy is being taken out of. How would I explain it?
it's not taken out of what I do is I use the rune. The name of the rune is the name of the being that you're connecting with.
Oh,
So
now I get it. Yes.
the other side of it is that all that time ago, our brains and thought processes were not as strong as they are now. We didn't have the concepts of what an energy being was. We didn't have the
Right.
we didn't have the understanding of chakra systems and things like that.
Yeah.
So when the humans that made this connection with these beings did, and they formed a physically symbiotic relationship, um, they got greater knowledge, they got greater understanding, they got ability to heal better than any. So they became like gods. That's where the truth of what we are taught as Odin and Thor and Norse gods, that's the truth of where they came from, right? Because every myth and legend comes from some seed of truth.
Right.
So in my spirit teachings where I was learning about the runes, I learned that truth. And that's part of what helped advance us out of the Stone Age into the Iron Age.
Oh, okay.
And ultimately, the Runâ, which is what I call them because I don't know how to translate and say what they call themselves, they left because humans back then were just still too primitive, and war and fighting and using what they were getting from the Runâ for not what the Runâ wanted them to use it for. They're using it for war.
Oh,
So they broke that bond and they
okay.
sort of left for a while, but they're non corporeal energy beings. They didn't leave. They just kind of been waiting for us to evolve and get to a more spiritually enlightened state to come back.
Okay. So the spiritual part and the healing didn't really kick in.
They are just, so to simplify it, they are spirit guides
Yeah, that's how I'm looking at it
that
now. Okay.
lend us a specific focused energy rather than just the broadband energy of the universe. Um,
Okay. That makes
so
sense.
they are they are their own sort of race of spirit of energy beings, but they still have individualities in terms of who they are as individuals, even though they don't have corporeal form. Um, but yeah, they're there just as any other spirit guide is there, ascended masters and all of that. Um, and when I do the runic chanting, I'm calling on them to lend their energy, their focus of what
Okay.
their theme is about.
Okay.
And when I link it to the runic grid with
Yeah.
the crystals,
Yeah.
it all gets amplified that way.
So how did you make that connection from like that, runas, and then the chakras, and then the crystals, right? Because they're all different. They're all separate. Or I think of it
So
that way, but maybe it's not.
I started learning Reiki first.
Okay.
And when I started healing myself with Reiki, I started having visions
Oh, yeah, you
in
said
my
that.
dreams. So I
Right.
started having visions in my dreams, and the visions involved runes, and I didn't know what they were at first because I didn't recognize the ones that I was seeing.
Mm-hmm. Like, did you
I
see the
had a
characters pop up? Like
no,
they,
no, no.
oh,
It was just the symbols, the
the
runes
symbols. That's what I
themselves.
mean. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I had that feeling like I should know what these are, but
Okay.
I didn't. And when I was talking to my Wiccan friend at the time, I drew one of them, and she
Uh-huh.
goes, I've seen that. That's in one of my books.
Oh, wow.
So
I'm getting chills.
she got her book out and started flipping through, and there it was in the section about runes. And I go, runes, okay, runes, yes, yes. Like I've known runes from fantasy stories that I've read about,
Yeah, yeah,
specifically
yeah.
Tolkien, Lord of the Rings, because
Yeah, I was
he,
just gonna say it kind of reminds me of Lord of the Rings.
yes, well, Lord Tolkien took the runes and integrated them into Lord of the Rings as part of
Oh,
the dwarven culture and language. Uh,
okay, cool.
yes.
Yeah.
So that's why, because he actually did use the Elder Futhart, incorporated it into the dwarven culture, and it's part of the dwarven language in his story. So that's where
Oh,
I
that's
had kind
cool.
of like had a sense that I knew and recognized them, but couldn't remember because that was from when I was younger.
Yeah.
But that, so I started studying them. I got some books, did a lot of Googling. As I did, the visions got clearer and clearer and more details and seeing more. And that vision specifically was based around a ritual for warding because my friend was dealing with evil spirits in her house.
Yeah, you told me. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So eventually I unlocked that whole sort of ceremony ritual, and we did all the warding stones, did the whole, cleared her house. Um, and then I started learning about crystal healing, and I started seeing just sort of my own like eureka moments while I was studying all these different things at once. Of I made the connection where the runes Yera and Laguz are essentially the same translation as what Reiki is,
Oh,
because Yera is balance, harmony, um, and the universe,
okay.
and Laguz is water, life force, and how you connect the runes together in a bind rune changes their meanings a little bit. It's kind of like taking one word and another word and combining them to make a new word, like
Oh, you
over,
mean like taking
like,
Yara and Laguz
yeah.
together
So
changes it? Okay.
right. So like over and whelm are two different words, but then you get overwhelm
Yeah.
and it blends their meaning. So when you bind runes together, it blends their meaning. So Yera Laguz, as a single bind rune of the two runes, it can be translated as universal life force. And
Oh,
that is how you translate Reiki from Japanese to English.
I didn't know Reiki was a Japanese.
Yes.
Okay. Awesome.
Reiki is Japanese and it translates as universal life force. And
Oh,
then
just the word Reiki. Oh, wow.
yes.
Oh, wow. Okay,
And
okay.
well,
That's
because
cool.
it's two words, it's Rai Ki.
Yes.
Ki is life force. Sometimes in Japanese they say chi, but
Chi, or yeah, I've heard that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
uh, it's ki in Japanese, and Rai is for the universe. Um,
Oh,
and then when you bind the two runes together, Yera is this angular like this, and Laguz is like this. So together they basically look like a capital letter R.
oh, okay.
So I had that whole like, okay, there's this deeper truth, deeper connection. So I started digging more in through the whole process.
Yeah,
And I was learning crystals and stuff like that. And I started to make connections with, well, these runes are good for this. And I started um, recognizing, and these crystals are also good for this.
right. Okay, so
And
these
I was
runes are good for
learning,
this. These crystals are good for
and
this. Yeah.
I was learning about crystal gridding.
Okay.
So I started my first iteration of the Runic grid, where I had just one rune, and I created one rune and I put a crystal on it and I meditated with it. It was one rune, one crystal, and I started meditating with that on a board as just the most basic concept. And that is where I made the connection and learned about the Runâ.
Okay.
That is where I met Odin. That is where I met Air. They became my patron and matron, and I went even deeper. I met all the Runâ as I studied and grew little by little, not all at once. Um, and in the process of things, learned so much more and learned the importance of the number nine. And I just tweaked and grew and improved my runic grids until they are what they are today. And yeah,
Wow, that's incredible. Did you say the number 9 too?
yes, yes.
Yeah.
So my traditional crystal gridding works on sacred geometry and symmetry.
Okay.
So if you go Google crystal grids,
Yeah.
like nearly everything you see is going to follow a specific pattern and symmetry. And yeah, there's just all these different, like there's different layouts, but they're all sort of similar in how they have a symmetrical pattern
Okay. Okay.
and they follow geometric um, geometry. Mine doesn't. Mine is based on sacred numerology and the power of the
Okay.
number nine.
Okay, I didn't know that. That's amazing because I learned the number 9 as a spiritual
Yeah,
number
yeah.
early
Because
on.
if you go back to the picture of your grid from when I first sent it to you, there's no symmetry there at all. No
Okay.
symmetry
Okay.
because it doesn't work that way because you can't get symmetry when you're working with bind runes.
When you're working with.
When you're working with bind runes,
Okay. Okay.
binding runes together because the runes aren't symmetric. Some of them are, but most of them aren't.
Oh,
So
okay.
being able to do a higher form of crystal gridding than just putting crystals on a bind rune, I couldn't get it to work with sacred geometry because there's no symmetry in the runes.
Okay.
That's where I came up with numerology instead. So we get the power all through the number nine, nine runes, the nine worlds layout that I created, the nine chakras, the nine types of crystals that I choose, all of it meshing together based on the individual's needs.
Wow. And are you picking different crystals depending on your client and what they need? Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow. So it really is
So
custom.
that's where a significant portion of the power comes on the individual level. And it's why the group sessions are still powerful because it's still amplified through a grid, but it's
Hmm.
not a personalized grid because I can't do that
Gotcha.
with
Can't do
groups.
it with the group. Yeah.
The group grid, instead of being based around a person's needs, is based around the concept of the journey itself and the stage of the journey. Uh,
Oh, okay.
that's where I was able to make it work for the group style. It's not
Yeah.
as powerful, but it's still
Yeah.
more powerful than a regular grid and regular healing.
Yeah.
Um, it's kind of a happy medium. But the
Okay.
one on one, the bulk of its power comes from that level of personalization where I choose different runes, different crystals for the individual based on what they tell me. And
Yeah.
then, what you remember with the special mantras and compassion techniques that we did, those get customized to the individual's experiences that we're healing.
Okay. And how do you look at are you supposed to look at chakras as like a, um, developmental age thing or no? Because I know how I never looked at chakras that way. I just looked at it sort of where they were on your body, the location,
So
but never based on like age. So that
so
sort of
that
threw me off a bit.
that's a teaching out there. It's one aspect of the chakras.
Okay.
And what it is it's not, and this is why I have a love-hate relationship with the basics of what people put out there for teaching about chakras, because
I know.
they're
It's
not they're not wrong, but
yeah,
they're not telling you the whole truth,
that's right.
and they're leaving out critical aspects. Because I mean, for starters, there's 114 chakra points.
Oh, I didn't know that.
114 chakra points and over 90,000 nadis throughout the whole energetic body.
Wow.
You don't
Okay.
you don't know about it, you don't hear about it, because the nine major chakras that I talk about, those are your major central chakras that go up and down the spine
Yeah.
in a straight line. Those are the most important. They're the major ones. You can think of each one as an individual um, grand central station
Right.
of energy.
Right. Yeah, I
The
like that.
nadi, the nadis are the train tracks that connect all the different stations.
Oh, that's you have such a beautiful way of
And
explaining it. Yeah, that makes sense.
all the other chakras are small town stops along the way. They have some significance, some importance, but we generally don't work on those because working on the major ones is going to impact those ones. So most people, they just teach you the basics. This is what this chakra governs and goes about. Um, Not everybody goes about that age range aspect, because not everybody teaches it, but it is important. Because so it's not that that's the only time that that chakra is impacted,
Okay. Okay, that's
but
why. Okay.
it, during the time frames that I teach you, that's when it's primarily developed, and
Okay, that makes sense.
its development is most impacted, right? And when you think about it from the root chakra, that's your first 7 years of life,
Yeah.
and that governs safety, security, groundedness. What are you doing for this first 7 years of your life? Not a lot for most of
No.
that, because you're a helpless baby that can't do anything for themselves.
Yeah.
You rely on somebody else, primarily your mother and your father,
Mm-hmm.
to raise you, teach you, to keep you safe and secure and grounded as you grow and develop.
Right.
And then the next 7 years, from 8 through 14, that's your sacral. Your sacral governs creativity, emotions, and sexual development, and what's going on from 8 through 14 for the most part.
Oh yeah. We like, as you get
You're
into the
learning,
later ages, you're going
you're
through.
right. But well, in the first part of it, you're drawing and coloring and playing,
Yeah.
learning creativity,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Uh, you're learning about your emotions more intimately.
That's
And
true.
then,
Yep.
yeah, as you get towards the end of it, you hit puberty.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I was gonna say that. Yeah.
And then comes the next stage, 15 through 21. And that's the solar plexus. That's
Okay.
power, confidence, self esteem. So, what is 15
Oh,
through 21 like for most people? That's your teens, high school.
yeah. Yeah.
And what is primarily impacted during that time? Your confidence levels, your self esteem, your power.
Really trying to
So,
figure out who you are.
right. And whether that gets nurtured or bullied determines how you feel about yourself. And these things impact you across your whole lives, right? And then when we get 22 to 28, that's your heart center area. Love, compassion, relationships. And what's going on for most people at that point?
Probably getting
College years,
into like a serious relationship
college
or
years,
yeah,
yeah, college
dating.
years, serious dating, serious relationships. We see it a lot nowadays. People are starting to get married at that age and
Yeah,
have families already, but
that's
building
right.
relations. But that is building relationships. It's love, it's compassion, right? And then
Yeah.
29 through 36 or 35, that's the throat. That's finding your voice, learning to speak out, to stand up for yourself, your honesty, your integrity. That's when most people start to fall into that, right?
Okay.
And then the
Yeah, maybe that's
next,
why we call it a midlife crisis.
well, and the next stage is your third eye.
hmm
So we're talking 36 to 42.
Yeah, that's probably more midlife crisis age than what I was saying. Yeah.
And what's going on with the third eye? We're getting our intuition, we're connecting with spirit more, we're learning how we see the world, and we're changing how we see the world.
Yeah.
Midlife crisis, as you say,
Yeah.
not necessarily a crisis for
Crisis.
everyone, but
Yeah.
it's often a time of big change for people because how we see the world has evolved and grown and become something so different.
Yeah,
And
that
then
makes sense.
when we get to 43 and up, that's the crown. And that's where we have the big philosophical thought and understanding and higher reasoning and our connection to spirit and divine love.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's just it confused me because of the ages you put to it because with Crown, I feel like Crown was like one of my strongest ones to begin with, but I'm not at that
Yeah.
age. So it's just like
Oh,
that's why you're looking at it more of like a developmental age.
yeah. So it's not just developmental age. It's just this is the time frame of your life that it's primarily impacted
Okay.
and primarily develops.
Okay.
It has the strongest developmental impact during that time frame, but that's not
Yeah.
the only time
Yeah.
because and that's where that aspect of yes, this is governing this is governing like each chakra has its place and governs things, but it's not so black and white.
Yeah.
And it does all blend together. And a type of event can impact that chakra and its development out of that developmental range just because of what it was and how powerful it was, whatever that event is. Right.
Okay. Okay.
So one of the clients that I had kidnapped as a child kept in kept
Shit.
kept kept in captivity and tortured for 10 years
Oh my God.
as a child. So root and sacral, primarily root, little bit sacral, had this huge block there. Um, took us 4 sessions to clear all that. But that same core thing that happened, captivity and torture, that could happen to a Marine at age 43 in the
Mm.
middle of a war. You know,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
how many
Mm-hmm.
POWs in the Vietnam War suffered captivity and torture?
Yeah, a lot.
So while the one client I worked with, it was literally at his root and sacral in the terms of development age, which is
Mm-hmm.
what made it such a stronger, more powerful block that took 4 sessions to clear.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody who's a POW in wartime in their 40s, that's still a root chakra blockage because you're talking about safety and security. Well, they don't have it when you're in captivity being tortured by the enemy, right?
Right.
The
That makes sense.
events impact us all across our lives in the different chakras. So somebody who's just getting into their teens that's already timid may have already had some traumas before they got there that made them that way,
Yeah.
right? Like me. I was awkward and timid and bullied because in high school, for most of high school,
Yeah.
because I was awkward, timid, and shy because all of my childhood I was abused by brothers and sisters. And the biggest impact was on the root, but all that also impacted across into my solar plexus and killed my self esteem and confidence.
Yeah.
So that whole aspect is it blends. Like these are cores, but
Hmm.
those cores are only pieces of a greater, bigger puzzle that blends across all of who we are, and how we handle it all and maintain it all impacts how our life revolves around us and builds and grows around us.
That makes so much sense because that's why you were asking, like, what events happened during this time in your life? Because those events is what's causing those emotional blockages, right? That's not
A
allowing
large
the
part
energy
of
to
it.
flow up the way it's
Yep.
supposed to. That makes
Yep.
so much more
And
sense now. Yeah.
and breaking it down into those block periods also allows me to focus more on individual sessions. That's why it's also a journey. It's not just one session. If it was one session, it'd be like an all day thing, and
Yeah.
I would need like weeks to recover.
Yeah. Or
But,
lots of Red Bull or something.
yeah. But when we
Yeah.
break it down into those cores
Yeah.
and separate it across, yeah, it makes it more powerful, and it's a methodical approach of starting at building a person back up from the ground up, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That
Because
makes
that's
more
also
sense now what you're
that's
saying.
also how it works. That root is your foundation.
Yeah. Makes sense.
And when you go through the different things, you've got your safety, your security, your groundedness, and then we start working with emotions, we start working with self-empowerment, then we start working with the heart, the voice, the vision, and then understanding it all and evolving.
I could talk to you about this for hours, but we're so over time. I'm so sorry.
Yes,
I'm just
that's
like
okay.
I just get so interested with what,
Yeah,
and I
no,
don't
it's
know, I
fine.
don't truly understand what you're doing. So for me to try to explain it, that's why I'm asking.
Right?
I'm like, how do I
No,
explain what he's doing? It's magic, but how do I explain it?
it's totally fine. Um, but
Thank you
and
for your
and
time.
we're recording, so I'm also gonna snip this recording and put it on my website because yeah, like great flow of conversation to explain for people what I do. Um,
Yes.
so I
I'm
don't mind. Thank you for
okay. That's
bringing.
awesome. Okay, because I don't want to feel like I'm taking your time, but this is like
No,
so
I've been
interesting because now I'm seeing so many other connections in my life because of what you're
right.
doing. Like, look up Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It's very similar to what you're saying with the chakras, and it always starts with safety and security. And then it goes to like a sense of belonging and all those other little factors that we have, but it sort of follows that same kind of flow. That's really
Yes.
cool. I love that. I love it. But all that stuff just, I love all that. This has been amazing. I know we've gone over time. Thank you, thank you,
Yeah,
thank you so much.
that's you're welcome and thank you. Keep rocking
Until
it,
next
lady. All
week.
right.
You too. Take
See ya.
care. Lots of love and
Bye.
light to you. Bye.